from all, to all, with all, for all, through all. We thank the gods of creation. We thank the ancestors. We thank the forces of nature. And we thank the earth. We thank them for their direction, their protection, their guidance, for keeping us, showing us, allowing us to know and enjoy life to its fullest, now and later.
Black people who once loved with the slow march of time. Time was ours to hold in the soft, low-born chambers of our hearts. And once we, the Afro mommies and daddies of a sun world, would turn our strands of hair into antennas to tune in the juju madness and syncopated love rhythms of Africa. And we loved with time, and we took the time to love. And with the right time we love, and we love time after time. Will we ever love again? Will we ever love again? Will we really ever love again? Or will we just sit and rot away with the brighter tomorrows in the skag field, rat-cluttered halls of our minds? Black people, what y'all gonna do? Black people, what y'all gonna do? Will the real black people please stand up?
Jumbo Habari, and welcome once again to Our Story, the program that makes being black positive, relevant, and true to a lost nation. It is Our Story who talks about the commitment to you and your people. It is Our Story that champions the reestablishment of the black genius that once ruled the world. It is Our Story that focuses you in on the rewards of black advocacy, black activism, black involvement, and black power. It is Our Story that encourages survival of the black race and solicits your involvement to that end. Black folks must remember, race first is the call of the day, and we as a people must, I say must, take the pledge if we, the people of the original race, expect to survive. As I take the many lessons I have received over the years and reflect upon them, by sharing these lessons with my brothers and sisters, I realize the power that we as a people possess, for the most part, has gone unnoticed. The masses of black folk who have been rendered lost and disenfranchised from the meaning and mission our creators intended for us to embrace is all but depleted. It is because of the mission and meaning of the life of our ancestors that I realized how blessed as black people we really are. What fascinates me are the many gifts I have been granted, which allows me to distribute the information onward to you. As always, that message begins and ends in blackness. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Greetings, friends, comrades, family, the inquisitive onlookers, and our beloved viewers. Welcome, welcome, and welcome to Our Story Network. We thank you for being with us this evening, and we trust you will take something of value away with you after the program. That is the aim and goal of Our Story Network, the network that leads the pack in modern day communications and ancient and modern education. I say ancient and modern education because of the many errors we have found in the translations and interpretations of ancient records. The modern revelations by new black scholars have opened the window of discovery that has allowed the truth and knowledge originally disseminated by the black masters of education to flourish once again. This is one of the stumbling blocks that has kept black people from rebuilding their greatness and recapturing their birthright. Good evening, brothers and sisters. Welcome to an early offering of our story. We are pre-recording this week to enable us to present some of the speakers and participants of the Unanimous is Not Enough movement, a campaign to grant relief to prisoners behind bars who were convicted by a 10-2 jury. Just to refresh your memories, the 10-2 vote last winter was about replacing the 10-2 jury decision with a unanimous verdict for any convictions in Louisiana beginning in the year of 2019. Let us view a caption from the conference this past Saturday.
You get no, you may get a half of the poor boy. You may get a half of the poor boy, and I can't eat the poor boy. Because they stick chicken in there, they stick fish in there, they stick anything that is available in that po' boy. That's why they call it the po' boy, I found out. So the bottom line is that what are we going to bring to the table? Well, I'm going to follow leadership, Reverend Pinkley and Belinda. But what we promised to do is that we're going to alert every church in Louisiana. And I'm going to personally call every church in Louisiana so that they can tell me no. Somebody asked me, say, Reverend, why you got 34,000 churches? Somebody asked me. You ask? Because when one say no, I go to the other one. That's why. Absolutely. Because all are not going to say yes. All of that, I don't care who you are and what great friends you have and what title you have, get in trouble and find out. Huh? Can I get an amen? Get in trouble and find out exactly how many friends you have. Because you could be on the wrong or the right side of the law. And the brother chairman said something just last night. No matter where black folks are, we're on the wrong side of that law. That's right. They're not going to ever give us anything. So those of you who are wishing for a equal society, and I like to hear the young people, because they tolerate everything. If you left hand, you can join the young people these days. If you're right hand, you can join the left people. It doesn't really matter because they accept everything and everybody. And you should, because the Bible says God loves everybody. But we have to have some standards. We've got to have some standards. And our standard teaches us that there are certain things that we cannot accept. And one of the things that we cannot accept is
You just heard from Pastor Anthony Evans, president of the 34,000 Church National Black Community Organization. Also addressing the conference was Reverend Edward Pinckney, president of the Black Autonomy Network Community Organization, also known as BANCO. Brother Omali Yeshitili, chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, USA. Brother Ralph Pointer with the Justice for Lynn Stewart of the National Lawyers Guild, and Sister Betty Davis from the New York Delegation on Black Education Initiative. All here in New Orleans to support the Louisiana United International Organization, also known as LUI, headed by Sister Belinda Parker Brown. One of the reasons for LUI's intervention in the 10-2 initiative is to include those prisoners who were not included in the movement to change 10 and 2 to 12 jury verdict. There are over 2,000 people behind bars convicted by this unjust law who were not included in the 10-2 verdict change. They need relief as well. Tonight, we're going to talk about understanding the rationale for including the current people not covered in the new law and how this racially biased law was originally implemented from the same Jim Crow thinking that brought the Citizens Council, also referred to as the White Citizens Council, into being. As a fellow soldier of the movement, I believe we owe our brothers and sisters who cannot fight for themselves to stand and fight for them. A fight for freedom, be it freedom from the bars or freedom from the stars. They both add up to breaking away from the white supremacist hold our oppressors have over all of us. To cut to the chase, I want to introduce Sister Belinda Parker Brown by thanking her for her service to the movement, as well as thanking all of our guests for their service to the movement as well. Sister Belinda, please alert our audience as to your work and introduce our guests this evening. Sister Belinda?
All right. Wow. Excuse me, WC. I really want to say thank you to you, my brother, because without people like you standing with us in this type of movement and the struggles that our people are facing today, it would be a very difficult task. And I want to sincerely thank you from the bottom of my heart to let you know how much I really appreciate you, because I know when I call on W.C. Johnson, everybody, he's going to be there for me. And that really means a lot, because I cannot do this by myself. And that's one of the reasons why that, you know, I decided to go outside of the state of Louisiana and bring in some heavy hitters that are serious about these type of movements that we're facing. You know, when I started the organization Louisiana United, it's because of the fact that, you know, I saw so many tragedies happening in our state in regards to the criminal justice system. You know, when I began to really do my research and investigate how bad the criminal justice system was, I asked myself a question: why do we have so many people incarcerated here in the state of Louisiana? Why is it that we are known as the mass incarceration place in the world? Why is it that when you walk into the courtrooms, you're treated so badly, like the court belongs to, I guess, the judges and the bailiffs, and they talk to you and treat you any kind of way? And when I'm knowing in my mind that the court belongs to the people, it is a public place where our tax dollars are paying for, you know, the courthouses. So I'm very concerned at this point in time that we need to start a movement. And you're right, WC, this is a movement, but it is a serious movement that is very, very necessary to end the final suffering of the people that are locked up in these godforsaken hellhole jails across this state. And I know for a fact that many of them do not deserve to be there. I have witnessed it in the courtroom where people were being threatened and badgered to take pleas to things that they did not even do. They were told, if you did not take a plea, we're going to put you in front of an all-white jury and give you 25 years to life. People were gripped with fear. I saw this as a tragedy that was happening right before my eyes. It was totally unbelievable. So I say, even after the people came out and voted in November of 2018, we rallied to get the vote out. We were successful in passing the Amendment 2. But it was not enough, because it kicked people under the bus that was convicted up under this racist, unconstitutional Jim Crow law that was schemed up in the first place to snatch black people off the street, put them in prison, and give them and make them slaves.
Right on.
Who wants to live in a country where slavery still exists?
Right, say it.
But I'm here to tell the whole world that slavery is alive and well here in the state of Louisiana, and we're saying we're not going to have it here because the Unanimous is not enough campaign is going to help get relief for these people that deserve to have an opportunity to have a fair trial, or else be let go free.
Right, that's right, say it.
So we need help, WC. We need help from around the world.
That's why we're here.
We need we need everybody that's watching us right now to join up and support this effort, because I know for a fact that this is one that we can unite on. And we're gonna pass the mic and let somebody else. You know, I have my.
Go ahead and introduce your guests that we have here. Introduce them.
Yes, you know, I'm telling you, this man that's sitting next to me, Reverend Edward Pickney. You know, he is none other than my spiritual father, you know, a friend, somebody that I've been trained by the best in these type of movements, because he's a winner. He has been victorious, and you know, being a political prisoner, you shut him down, Pastor Pickney.
That's right.
And he's from Benton Harbor, Michigan, where I grew up, and you know, I want him to go ahead and tell the people what he wanted to know.
All right. You know, I'm very excited to be here today, and just to think about my good friend Belinda Parker Brown from the Louisiana United International. I was sitting at home and she gave me a call, and she said that, Pastor, I need your help. And she don't never have to say it twice. I said, what do you want me to do? She said, I need you to come down here. She said, if you come down here, it's going down. She said, if you come down here, it's going down. I didn't hesitate. I immediately called my good friend Ralph Pointer and Betty. And one thing about Ralph Pointer and Betty, if I call, they're coming. I told them, my friend Belinda Parker Brown need our help. Let's go. And Ralph didn't even hesitate. Then I called my good friend Joe Peary. He's my friend. He's the guy on the move. I told him, you need to write a story about this. And Joe didn't even hesitate. He said, have her to call me. Have her to call me. He said that 2-3 times. And I said, no, you call her. You know, get this in case she's busy. And Joe got on the phone and he called and there it was. The rest of it is history. Then we ran into O'Malley, the chairman, Yasatelli. I was talking to him on the phone, and I said, my good friend, Belinda Parker Brown need our help. He didn't hesitate. He said, what do you want us to do? I said, it's not what I want you to do, it's what Belinda Parker Brown wants us to do. She's the president and the CEO of Louisiana United International. She need us. And when she called, we coming. And then Pastor Evans out of Washington, D.C., he was a little difficult, but he understood the movement. and you heard some of the tape of him talking. And he said, well, I'll be there. And he kept saying, so me and Belinda got on the phone and talked to him together. We was talking and exchanging ideas. And he said that he was going to come. And we also had other people who want to be part of this also. But what really got my attention was when Belinda Parker Brown said, it's slavery. That's what it is. It's slavery. We have to do something about this. And we're talking to the audience now. We have to do something about this. We need to make sure that every one of the 2,000 people or more that's in prison get the opportunity to come home. And it's something to do. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to pass the mic because this, to me, this is important. In 1906, they lynched this young man. They lynched him and his wife and their children. You see, 1906, it was like a picnic. Right after a church service, they went out and lynched his family. And that's what they have done to Mr. Harold Victor. They have lynched him and his family, him and his wife. They lynched this young man. They lynched him. They lynched his wife, and they lynched his children.
Yes.
And the people didn't say a mumbling word.
That's right.
And on that note, we'll pass the mic.
Okay. Who's your next guest, Belinda? Over.
Okay, we're gonna have Joe Perry. No, Ralph. I'm sorry, Ralph. Ralph Pointer. Go right ahead, Ralph.
Well,
introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. Ralph Pointer from New York. And you have just gotten a glimpse of the reason why those of us who came stayed. We have heard our sister Belinda Parker Brown speak, for she is the lightning, the fire that will rekindle our struggle to end this slavery and end the economic situation that has been in place since the Civil War and before the Civil War. It is still here. And because Louisiana is the root of the economic explosion of the European powers, that is slavery. This is the center, Congo Square, Angola. This is where the money came for the Industrial Revolution. And now we see a sister is going to lead us out of this jungle, lead us out of this desert that we have occupied for over 150 years. And so we're going to change that. We have joined, and we ask everyone to join Louisiana United International. This is how you can participate in this struggle. And I wouldn't miss this for all of the tea in China. This is an opportunity to go to the root of the problem. Because we all know that the law in America is a major instrument of oppression of our people in every form. And Sister Belinda Parker Brown has seen that. And when she calls, and you had a glimpse of what you are going to be exposed to, and once exposed to that fire, it's going to grow, and it's going to burn this economic situation, this economic circumstance to the ground. And I do want to be a part of it. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate. And as Brother Joe here has said, we're going to go from door to door. We're going to go from church to church. We are going to reach the people. And I hope that those of you who are viewing this will join us also, be a part of this movement. And it's going to be a movement to change the realities of this disgraceful situation, not only in Louisiana, but in the world. And thank you.
Thank you. Pass the mic to none other than Miss Betty Davis. That is, when I met this woman, I mean, she has just been reeking with wisdom on all of the directions of this struggle and how important it is for us to continue to fight.
I want to say it's been a privilege and an honor to be a part of this fellowship, because this is a fellowship for liberation. And it's important to know that Reverend Pinckney is his own liberator, and how he ended up being a political prisoner. This man decided that if we have black politicians that run in our community that do not stand for what they claim they stand for, once they get elected, then we should have a referendum and remove him. He was successful in getting a referendum to remove a politician who promised to fight a corporation, and when he got in office decided to take a bribe from that corporation. Now, it's important to know that current politician is himself in trouble. But Reverend Pinckney was put in jail for having a successful recall of a corrupt politician. So it shows you that the law is what the authorities say it is at any particular time. There is the interpretation of the law, and it's the way it's written in the books. And if you are black or brown or poor, you know that the law does not apply to you. If we were to follow the law in the 1600s, in the 1700s, and the 1800s, you would have been a slave, and you would not have stood up without being in danger of your life.
Wow.
So now what we have is a new form of slavery, and that's what we are saying about this 10-2 legislation. If someone from December 31st, 2018 is free, then January 1st, 2019, they should be free. So therefore, this legislation was passed at that time, and we're saying it should be applicable to those people retroactively.
Yes.
And therefore, if slavery is wrong one day, it's wrong the other day as well. That's all we're saying with 10-2.
Yes.
And what we're saying to you is, no oppressor ever voluntarily gives up oppressing anyone. When did you ever meet a bully that just stopped bullying? And this is what it is. So we are asking you to be your own liberator. Why are we asking you to be responsible for your own liberation? Because it is your duty. Even if you are not religious, you have to know whatever the creation is in the universe, it did not create you to be a slave. It did not create you to tolerate slavery. If you are religious, now that's for the people who are not religious, but if you claim to be religious, then how can you tolerate oppression of any person? And we're saying there are 500 to 2,000 people who could be free. All we have to do is stand up on whatever level, with whatever ability, with whatever strength we have inside of us to help them. We're not asking you to step outside your comfort zone. If you can start a petition, Louisiana United International wants to know who you are. If you can speak up and get your church to invite Sister Belinda Parker Brown to speak, Louisiana United International wants to know who you are. So before I turn over the mic, I want you to know a little bit about this gentleman here. This gentleman here, from the time he was 6, was a union organizer. His dad was a member of the AFL-CIO, when the CIO was really getting busted over the head by Carnegie and people like that to stop workers from having their rights. Okay, this is his history. He grew up in a mine town, a steel mining town, and his father took him to his first union meeting when he was 6. And what was his mother doing? She was a religious woman, but she was sitting at home with a gun. And the children of all the workers were in her house, because everybody knew if you joined or organized for a union, the bosses of the steel mines would send bullies with guns to beat and kill your family. So her job was to protect the children of the mine workers while the men organized to take over and take rights for the workers. So there's a legacy of struggle here. I want to end by reminding you, and I don't want you to forget these two brothers. One is Albert Woodfox, who was a prisoner in Angola, and he said he had a cell which was the size of a closet for more than 40 years. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about liberation. No human was designed by the Creator to suffer that. And all this man ever did was stand up for freedom. I want to remind you of another political prisoner, Jalil Montekim. And his slogan is, "We are our own liberators." And the last two things I want to remind you of your ancestors. Harriet Tubman made it clear that the work of slavery is not done until it is self-perpetuating. If you are silent about slavery, even modern day slavery, then you are perpetuating that slavery. All right? The last thing I want to say to you, two quotes from someone I know you know, Frederick Douglass. Education and slavery are incompatible. So even if you can't step out to a meeting, you can certainly talk to someone about this struggle. You can educate someone about this struggle. You can get online and give information about this struggle to your friends. You can go to Facebook and find out more. All you have to do is remember Louisiana United International Incorporated. And the last statement I want to give you again comes from Frederick Douglass. And one of the things he said, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't have his eloquence, but he said, "Power succeeds nothing without a struggle."
Yes.
All right? So that's why we're saying get involved. If you do nothing, then you are tolerating the White Citizens Council. You are saying they are right and that you and the rest of us deserve to be slaves. And again, no creator created human beings to be a slave.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you, Sister Betty.
Wow. Wow.
All right, Sister Betty.
Brother Joe.
Yeah, I have a similar experience in that, people started calling me on the phone, and Belinda and myself started talking back and forth, and immediately we wrote up an article. I begged my editor, come on, we need to have room for this, and we got just enough room to get it in there. And I myself, I don't like to write anything or even get up and speak in front of people without first doing research. And I began to do the research, and the first thing I ran across was a fellow by the name of Thomas Sims, who was a big-time politician. To show you how big he was the number 3 man in the Confederacy. And there's a quote from him in the Constitutional Convention of 1898 where he said, which is where this law came from, and it originally was 9-3, not 10-2. And this is a quote from him. He's talking to the other delegates, and he's saying, "Hey, gentlemen, we've done our job. We've done a fantastic job here today," right?
Great job.
Right. And what is that job? That job is to ensure the supremacy of the white race in this state to the extent that it can be done both legally and constitutionally. Pat yourselves on the back, right? And I was like, whoa, okay. So I started digging more to go back. And this thing actually goes back to the 13th Amendment. And the 13th Amendment basically said, and this is what struck me. I remember being a kid in high school, and the teacher explaining to us, yes, slavery ended with the 13th Amendment. Really? Well, that ain't what I'm reading here. Because the 13th Amendment says slavery is abolished except where you're convicted of a crime and sent to jail. And you begin to notice that after Reconstruction was over with, was attacked and ended, that's when you start to see black folks get locked up in jail.
Right.
Prior to that, no black folks in jail. After that, all kind of black folks in jail. And not only that, but for the littlest of an offense, something that you would consider a misdemeanor, get you 20, 30 years in jail. And then when you're in there, they're adding on to it. So this whole thing is just snowballed down to us. And so I started thinking about it and just kind of say what hit me at first. I was like, whoa. So if slavery didn't end in 1865, right, then that means that it just went from the plantation field to the penitentiary. Right. And then that means that if, the old plantation owners are no longer the slave master, the new slave master is the United States government and Wall Street corporations.
Wow.
And so I started doing research on that. I just simply Googled and asked the question, what corporations are using penal labor, which is basically slave labor, right? And it came up, man, and I mean, it went on. It was like 106 of them. And McDonald's, Wendy's. I mean, let's call it out. They're slave masters. Whole Foods, Target. Okay, these are our slave masters. And they smile in our face. And I began to, how do they get away with this? United Airlines, American Airlines. How do they do that? Exxon Mobil, Excel.
Wow.
All your top Fortune 500 companies are involved in this. How do they get away with it? They get away with it because once they establish that crime is your path to slavery, it's no longer about crime and punishment. It's about them making billions of dollars and then to create this facade, this fake crime, if you will, right? And that's why they have to, you know, get people into the juvenile justice system. Look what happened in Pennsylvania, that Cash for Kids. Remember the Cash for Kids? They paid each judge $1 million, and they sent them like 20,000 kids. It's the same thing here for adults. Wow. That's established. It's got nothing to do with crime. No. It's hiding right. You got slavery hiding right out in the open, and it's accepted because of this stigma of crime, and that's what it is, right? But who really is the criminal? And you guys have been able to peel away the layers and show what's this guy Reed?
Yeah. You talking about Mr. Earl Victor?
No. The real criminal, the one that got locked up.
Oh, Walter Reed.
Walter Reed.
Walter, yeah.
I'm talking about the real criminal.
Walter Reed, the lead district attorney that put more people in prison to preserve his 99.9 conviction rate.
Right. And then these guys
in St. Tammany Parish.
Yeah. Right. And they start checking into these guys' background. What do they find? Well, their income is this. But how come they got property all over the country?
Yeah, Jack Strain, the sheriff in St. Tammany Parish. Right. $2 million homes. He have $1 million home in Dustin, Florida. He have another $1 million home somewhere here in Louisiana. You know, it's just outrageous on a sheriff's salary. Oh no, that's impossible.
Where is the human attempt to rehabilitate a criminal? It doesn't exist. It's got nothing to do with crime. It's got nothing to do with rehabilitation. Once the dollar signs are attached to this, these super profits, and they're talking about this is billions of dollars as an industry, just like slavery was built. And what was the excuse back in the chattel slavery days? Oh, we're bringing Christianity and civilization to backward people. We ain't that damn backward. Yeah. Okay. We done figured this. We done figured this one out. That's right? And it's the same thing all over again. And guess what? It's just that nobody's admitting it. It's hiding out in the open. It's time for us to pull the wool off of it. Right. That's a different name. That's right. That's right. And for us to tell the whole world. And what does that say about a country that tells the whole world we're the freest place on earth? A country that's supposed to hold freedom so dear. Right? They got a lot to lose here. They got a lot to lose. It's up to us to uncover this thing. To do the research and do, you know, the door knocking and get the people. Because look, once the people get involved, it's on. It's on. Like you say, Rev, it's on. It's
going down.
And to put it simply, there was never a war on drugs. There was a war on us.
Yes.
And you have heard it again here, but the question is, what are you going to do about it? And then, what did you do? And I think as Brother Chairman Omali Yeshitela said, I'm going to follow the leadership of Sister Belinda Parker Brown, and this is what we're going to do about it. And so I say, right on, this is what I'm going to do also.
Very good.
Right, absolutely.
Hey, I'm gonna just say this. Belinda Parker Brown, you turn the world around.
And it's going down.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And it's going down, and we're going to shut it down, and we're going to fight until they get it right, because, you know, we have people that are suffering right now. You know, Pastor Pickney, you mentioned Mr. Earl Victor. You know, I was there 10 days of this man's trial. I literally watched him get hung or lynched in the courtroom. And that's what they have been doing. They no longer lynching us from the trees, like you said earlier, Pastor Pickney, but they're lynching us in the courtroom, setting up there behind these, you know, and sometimes they don't even come out inside of the courtroom. They do a whole lot of the deliberations back there in the chambers, right?
Yes,
WC?
exactly.
You know, and when it come out, the next thing we know, it's over. All right? And we got loved ones that have been railroaded on fabricated, concocted, fraudulent information. People, I'm here to tell you, it is a disgrace. Louisiana should be ashamed of itself. And all we're saying here with unanimous is not enough, that we cannot continue, okay, to allow these people that are suffering to not get any kind of relief when the law was racist and unconstitutional back then, okay? way back then, Joe, like you broke it down to us, then it's still racist and unconstitutional now.
That's right.
You know, so people, you know, my plea to the public is for you to get involved.
Yes.
Don't sit back and do nothing. This is not the time. We're talking about the future of our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. And if it's ever been a time, now is that time, because we got people coming from the outside, Joe. You know, they're not playing with our intelligence anymore, WC.
That's right.
We didn't figure this one out.
That's right.
We have the solution to this one. But like my sister Betty said, that we cannot expect that these people going to intentionally do the right thing.
That's right. Absolutely.
They don't intend to do the right thing, because there's people even look like us that's benefiting from keeping them locked up and keeping them in slavery. Do you realize you can go to prison and get a job working for 17 cents a day and make somebody a billionaire?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When you can't even go in your own community and get a job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, here's the sad part about it. That's the high end. Because there's states like Florida, Alabama, Georgia, where you get zero.
Yeah.
And not only that, but while you're in there, you could come out of jail. Like, you need things, right? You go to the commissary, corporation runs the commissary. You know, they run everything in there. Some corporation is private corporations. And you could come out of there owing thousands of dollars. You've got no benefits, health benefits at all. And you've got no Social Security that's been paid into. You can be let out of jail and you're homeless. You can be let out of jail and owe a bunch of money to people. And guess what? That could be the reason to lock you back up. And so literally what we have here is the worst kind of possible slavery in the modern day era is what we've got. And I want to touch on what you said earlier, Belinda, about people getting involved. Look, it's too late when they get around to you. That's too late.
Yes.
All right? Look, they picking up anybody and everybody for this. Look, if they can do that to Errol Victor, who's a millionaire, right, who's a pillar in his community, a reverend, right? If they can do that to him,
right,
what you think they're going to do to one of us? Right? What have they already done to those 2,000 that are one of us?
That man had an impeccable record.
There you go.
He never had a traffic ticket.
Right. And you know, what I would like to say is that, you know, what you're saying about the prison system itself is that, you know, that if you don't have money when you go into the prison system, it becomes a major problem. It costs a lot of money to be inside the prison system. And that's 17 cents you get a day, you know, and you can, like you said, you could end up owing them, you know. And I say this about Mr. Victor, and he's a millionaire. He deserved better. And here's the thing. We need everybody who's out there to come join us and fight with Belinda Parker Brown. We need to make this thing happen. And here's the good news. If you don't fight, you can't win.
That's right.
We can win if we get out there. I'm a perfect example of how to win. Rallying the people. We're going to take this to the people, not to our criminal justice system. We're going to take it to the people.
Yes.
And we're going to win it out in the streets. And that's for each and every one of you who are listening today. We need your support. It might be Mr. Victor today, but could easily be you tomorrow.
Yes.
You know, I want to say, Pastor Pickney, that, you know, I know that we have people here in the state of Louisiana that are in some serious struggles. You know, I want to mention a friend of mine by the name of Tracy Rowley. She have been fighting for justice for the Rouge House. And, you know, it's just a perfect example, her story and Mr. Victor's story and many, many others, that because you wanted to do some type of economic development that would bring opportunity for jobs for people that look like us, okay, down there in the French quarters. They never intended to allow a black business to come down there in the French quarters and make millions of dollars. Just like with Mr. Victor, they never intended for this man to develop 400 acres and build $1 million homes for black people. They never intended for him to do that. So what they did was took his tragedy, the death of his child, and made it a nightmare.
Wow.
That we are still, his children, his boys are still trying to wake up from.
Yes.
You know, this is the type of things that, you know, we're saying that it don't take a rocket science to figure out that the attack is on us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, the thing that we tend to forget is that we have had a lot of help along the way to get us to where we are today.
Yes, a lot of help.
Unfortunately, the help got very little credit for it. You know, I look at the NAACP, the Urban League, and all these organizations that try to take credit for the civil rights movement and the success of the civil rights movement, and they always forget the foot soldiers in the trenches that created the chaos and confusion in the streets that scared white folk to death and forced them to give the civil rights movement something to deal with.
Yes.
Because they didn't know who was going to come out of the woodwork.
No idea.
So that is why I encourage everyone who has a thought to participate. I'm telling you, we need all soldiers, no matter what you have to offer. There is a place for you, and there is a time for you. And if we don't understand that right here in Louisiana, that we had a group that was, I mean, they armed up and they went out, and lo and behold, their position, their fighting, their audacity to threaten white folks with their own weapons caused them to be one of our greatest heroes here in Louisiana, and actually throughout the country, because it just spread all over.
Yes, it did.
But we have gotten into a posture of false security.
Yes, that's true.
Where we think that everything is okay now. But let me tell you, it ain't okay.
No, absolutely not.
And if we don't start fighting, we're going to lose the little that we gain. And we see it happening every day.
You know, WC, I'm so happy that you mentioned that. Now, I know some others want to speak to that. But one of the things that, just this little time that we have had with these heavy hitters that have came from outside, from New York, from California, from Chicago, from Michigan, from Florida, I'm telling you, we have made tremendous strides and victory because of the fact that they must be terrorized by us, Pastor Pinkney. Because on yesterday we found out that the Supreme Court is going to hear the brief in regards to that they're saying that the law should have been retroactive. Okay. And we're saying that we know that it was not enough for the people that they wanted to kick under the bus. So now I never could imagine that would come down that quick, WC. So what you're saying right now is that if we don't stand up and unite and come together and fight for these things, they never intend to give it to us, people.
Exactly.
And that's the picture that we want to paint.
Absolutely.
And make it clear to you. Stop sitting back thinking that they're going to do for you. Automatically do what it is you want them to do.
That's right.
Stop going looking for help in all the wrong places.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it could be that they're viewing your involvement as they viewed the deacons of defense. See what I'm
They're
saying?
terrified.
They're terrified, exactly. And it's interesting because Brother Joe over here brought out several points that I had to remind my viewers about, that I have couched in a book that I wrote.
Yes,
it's
indeed.
called
Talk
Our
about it.
Story, the original Holocaust.
For the black, right.
And
race.
I'm going to tell you, I don't treat anyone with gloves at all.
Amen.
Not kid gloves, maybe boxing gloves, but not kid gloves.
All right.
But we have to understand, and it's unfortunate that so many of us here in New Orleans and in Louisiana are scared to death. You know, my father told me years ago, he said, you know, black folks, no, he didn't say that. He said, niggas will fight one another. They will cut. They will whip one another. He said, and a white boy can come with a mop handle and run 150 of them out of any building.
Wow, you're absolutely right. That's one thing that I was never able to wrap my mind around when we think about the slave plantations. You know, I'm like, here we got the master's house and the master and a few people up there. You know, probably had about 10 of them in the house, but it's 100 of us out here on the cotton field. Now, you know, that doesn't compute with me, because the fact of the matter is, if it's 100 of us, it's more us than it is of you. Okay, sooner or later, you know, you can't just keep on letting you know, ride my back. Okay, but Dr. King said, if your back is bent over.
There you go.
Yes, indeed.
Can't ride you standing up.
You know, we have an immunity among ourselves as blacks that we're afraid, especially when we learn the truth. We are afraid to speak the truth, but more than that, to promote the truth.
Yes.
Now, we have this White Citizens Council, the Ku Klux Klan, and all these so-called die-hard Christians. But I don't hear few
Come
out and tell and talk about the fact that Christianity came from us. We're the ones that instituted and created it.
Say that.
And we don't talk about it. You want to talk about black people being savages, they're being all these negative things. Well, the truth of the matter is, white folk got everything that they have because they learned from us. We civilized them, and we're afraid to talk about it.
Right. Well, we need to have that conversation, and I think I'll be so happy to come back on your show, WC, because, you know, one of the sad things about it is that it's been perverted. It's Christianity been perverted.
Oh, most definitely.
And, you know, and it's sad because our young people are watching this today. They're watching the things that go on in, you know, the churches and so-called, you know, conferences and revivals and all this kind of stuff. They're watching this and they're not buying it, Pastor Pinkney.
Amen.
They're not going to be bamboozled by, you know, this foolishness.
Sister Belinda, we have the fastest hour in television.
Yes,
and
indeed.
We have about 30 seconds, so if everyone could just say 2 words in greetings or and let us get out of here, I'd appreciate it. So we're going to start over here with the sister. If you can just take 2 or 3 words and pass it.
One of the things I want to say about this program, and I want to acknowledge this brother for educating his community, because as Frederick Douglass said, education and slavery are incompatible. And I want to remind people that the beginning for the struggle for freedom starts with each one of us.
Okay, I'm going to have to go to Belinda because the man's telling me we got to get out of here. Belinda, you want to say
Well,
goodbye?
I would like for everybody out there that's listening right now, pick up your phones, go to your phones and text LUI, capital LUI, to 76626, and you would be able to get in contact with us. All of my information would pop up, and you can also call me at 985-503-0626. And thank you so very much for tuning into the show today.
I like to say to the brothers and sisters, stay strong, stay black, but by all means, stay involved in the struggle. Until we meet again, Uhuru Sasa Ungawa.
All right.
Full of the hope that the present has brought us, facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Listen to me now, yo, before Dr. Dre, there was Dr. James, welding cords around a copper frame. We sing songs, not for the accolades, to lift voices like a helicopter blade. High in the listening skies, my eyes glisten and tears drop down like rain. Not from the pain, from the joy of how far we came. My brainstorms are designed to celebrate our reign. The collective, monuments erected, continents affected, presidents elected, ancestors making moves with the music we've been blessed with. We use it to keep communities connected. Through harmonies, a harmony is collected. Reaping the fruits our foremothers invested. Lift every voice till freedom has manifested. Come on, yeah, lift every voice till freedom has manifested. Come on, listen, lift every voice till freedom has manifested. Come on. Sing a song, full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song, full of the hope that the present has brought us, facing the rising sun. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. It's a new day. Let us march on till victory is won. Till victory is won. This is victory music. Come on, I hope you feel it.